Okay folks, I thought I'd bring you along with me today as I build an electric skateboard out of components and stuff I've just got lying around. First, let me say I apologise for the camera angle. It's a bit ghetto the way I've set this up. I don't have my camera anymore. I've got to use a tablet, so I apologise for the camera angle. Hopefully we will fix this in future episodes, but yes. The project for today is an electric skateboard. We're just going to quickly run through all this. You're going to need, if you would like to build your own electric skateboard, you're going to need a skateboard deck. The trucks I'm using are Osprey trucks, which are these ones here, and they're longboard trucks. Reverse kingpin, which means the kingpin is meant to go out that way, unlike on a usual skateboard where the kingpin is on the inside. So I got these 8-inch ones on Amazon. Any skate bearings will do. It doesn't matter if they're cheap, expensive, whatever. You'll probably be replacing them anyway if you use this thing a lot. And the wheels are these Racebond 74mm longboard wheels as well. And that's partially the reason you need such massive trucks, is because if you just put these wheels on a normal set of trucks, you'd get really bad wheel bite, and you wouldn't be able to turn properly. So that's the reason for the massive trucks. You can use a longboard or a skateboard deck, that's fine. And the hardness of these wheels is 78A, so they're really quite soft and rubbery, which means they'll roll over most cracks in the concrete and that outside. So yeah. The next thing you're going to need is some 3D printed parts. I will do my best to provide the files down below. And I've got to say a massive thank you to Digital Reaper, my friend. If you watch my old gaming videos, you'll know he's core member of the team essentially, and he'll help me print a bunch of this off, or he helped design a bunch of this stuff anyway. The motor mount, okay, this isn't the motor mount, but the motor mount is a part that I will show you soon. The truck mount is this part here, and I designed this bit. I did something for myself. And then I printed it off on the Ender Creality 3, or the Creality Ender 3. And this is essentially what holds the... We're going to use a bit of 2020 aluminium extrusion to hold this all together. And this is essentially what mounts all that to the truck components. And on top of that, you're going to need a 3D printed wheel pulley, which sits on the wheel inside here and is essentially what the belt clings onto and makes the wheel turn. Because I want to be as cheap as possible out of this, I'm using an old cordless drill, and the benefits of using a cordless drill mean that you can extract a bunch of parts out of it. So I'm using the old trigger system. I've got a couple of batteries knocking around. You don't have to worry about making your own charging circuits or anything like that. It's all included in the drill. And I'm using the motor from the drill as well, and the motor is an RS 550 VC 7527, and you can find blueprints for that on the internet. And finally, I'm using a GT2 closed timing belt, which is about 6mm wide. I don't have any expectations that it's going to last that long, if I'm honest with you. I don't think that the belts are the best thing to use, or if they are, I need to get wider ones, because they're kind of thin. They're really meant for 3D printers, but we're making do with what we've got. So yeah, those are all the components. I'm gonna open my box of tricks now. Here's some other stuff. I'm gonna open this box of tricks and I will show you some of the bits that we've got. So this is the wheel pulley. So you can see there, it's not exactly perfect. I think I need slightly longer screws to pull it a bit tighter. So that's the pulley system. Here is the old drill, which I've already pulled apart. And, there's the motor mount there, and I've taken Digi designed this as well. I really need to. I'm waiting on him for another redesign really that matches this one a little bit more. So we get 2 holes on that, so you can put it on the aluminium extrusion wherever. And I've actually torn this drill apart. It's a bit janky looking, but it's okay. I should also point out, this whole thing is a prototype, right? So we're just testing to see if all this stuff works, and if it does, then great. I can start splashing out and getting decent parts. But using an old drill and very loud, but using all these old components is part of the mission plan, just so we can get a prototype running, and then later in life, when I know it works, I can get a remote control wire and a proper battery pack, or a different motor that's a bit quieter. I think the reason this one's so noisy is because it's got these massive bolts on it, and I need to replace them with grub screws. But that's fine for now, for a test. And I've got all these. So these are all failures, essentially. These are all failed prints that I will recycle. I'll turn them back into chips and I'll recycle them back down. But these were originally going to be the thing that sat on the truck like that. And the motor was going to sit in there, and then you'd feed the belt between everything. I hope you can see that. But this design didn't work. You need to be able to adjust the distance between the motor and the trucks. So none of that really worked. And then I stumbled on this, which is one that you can add to the aluminium extrusion, which means you can adjust it. But again, that didn't really work because the bracket that the motor was using didn't fit properly. And here's a design for a truck mount that we got off Thingiverse, and I'm sure if you've got the right size trucks that fit this version, it's great because you screw it in and tighten it down that way instead. I got my belts, and then another thing Digi did for me was print off this pulley drill guide. So to make sure that I got the exact right spot on the wheel, you feed a 8mm rod through the centre there. Put it onto a wheel that's got a bearing in it, because you know the bearing is going to be central, and then you put that down there, and then depending on what pulley you want to put on it, I mean look how straight that is without even the 8mm rod, you drill, that gives you your guidance holes. So thank you very much Digi, that was really useful. And I've just got a typical skate tool here to do all this with. So, I'm going to change the camera angle, I'm going to bring you over to the workbench, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. Yeah, I'll bring you over to the workbench and we will start assembling the thing. I should also point out that this deck, ooh, very shiny. Klayer got me this for my birthday, so thank you very much Klayer, it's very cool of you. I've replaced some bits on it. This is going to be my city cruising board, so I will definitely get a lot of use out of this. Especially when I go away to Haarlem and Amsterdam and places like that where they've got cycle lanes, and I prefer to skateboard. So yes, thank you very much Klayer for that, and we're going to get on with fixing this up now. So, oh, one other thing I should mention, if you're playing along at home, I have drilled holes into this and threaded them slightly so that the motor mount doesn't wobble. You'll see here in some previous design attempts, there's a lot of holes drilled in there, and that was just a test, and it didn't really work that well. So on this side I made sure to do a better job of that, and now we shall see if assembling it all together pays off. So let's do this. Okay, again I apologise for the angle, but I think you can pretty much see what I'm going for here. So let's get this off of here. Whoa, we're already losing bits. Great. Okay. So as far as I can remember from my years skateboarding, in my youth, my misspent youth skateboarding, this is the kingpin. Oh, and we definitely do not want that to happen, so let's slide that back in there. And this is the part that the truck sits on. Ooh, there we go. And then that just goes back on there, these bushings, and I can't remember what I've done with that. Oh, there it is, it's hiding behind the wheel. Right, so let's get that on there. And in skateboarding terms, I think the looser these are, the easier it is to turn, and the tighter they are, the more difficult it is to turn, but I turn by popping my tail anyway, so that's fine. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this thing together. I hope you can see all this. Right, we're going to put this thing together, and we're going to put it on here, so like that, and we're going to tighten these up. So, and this is essentially the same sort of stuff you use when you're building a 3D printer. It's essentially exactly the same aluminium extrusion and connection methods and all that sort of thing. So there we go. Yeah, that's on there pretty good. You want to make sure that, I don't know if you can see that in there. Where are we? Oh, cool. The camera's on this, not so bad. You want to make sure that this little T-nut, whenever you're doing something with aluminium extrusion and you've got a T-nut involved, you want to make sure the T-nut turns so it's sort of like parallel. I think that's the right word. Parallel to the extrusion, so it's got a good grip on it. But I'm sure you already knew that. Beautiful and intelligent viewer. Right. So we've got this in place, and I hope, yeah, you can just move this a little bit closer. You can just about see that thing. Yeah, cool. Right, so now we want to attach this. Or do we want to attach the motor mount first? Oh, actually, the motor mount we can wait. Right, so I'm going to screw down this. And this should be in line with those holes that I previously drilled. So this should just go in nice and smooth. There you go. Very cool. Right, so I'm going to do the rest of them because this one's going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to do this off camera, and once I've put this all together, I will get back to you. Right, there you go, that's in. I probably could have done a better job with this M1, but the problem is that if you drill into this, I'm pretty sure this outer stuff's aluminium, it's not a strong metal at all. But as you get into the middle of it, obviously you've got this bit that the wheels sit on, and that's like a really hard steel that's really hard to get through, or hard, I don't know what it is. Could be titanium for all I know, it probably isn't. These trucks weren't very expensive. But yeah, it's easy to drill into the whatever this outer metal is, but it's not so easy to drill through this, and you probably don't want to anyway. I mean, the way this board is set up, it should last a while because you're not doing a bunch of tricks. Like, the only thing you're really going to have to replace is the bearings because they get stuffed up with dirt and mud and all that nonsense through more use than I think perhaps a usual skateboard used, being cruising around the streets and all that. I could be wrong there. But yeah, so we're going to put this together. I've sort of lost my train of thought there. Essentially, you can drill into the outside, but try not to drill into this too much. But because you're not going to be kick flipping this board and ollieing it and all this and that, it should last longer, and it doesn't really, the trucks won't snap, right? I think that was the point I was getting at. Anyway, let's put this motor mount on, and actually what we need to do here, I think, is put the wheel on first. So I've got two spacers there for this, just to bring it out a little bit more. We're gonna put that in there, and oh, look at that! There's loads of space. Lovely. We're gonna put this washer on here. We're gonna put this nut on here. I'm going to tighten them up with the old skate tool. These things are so useful. Tighten it up, make sure it spins. Oh, maybe even tighten it up a little bit more. Yeah, it still spins. You see there's a tiny bit of wobble on that, and that's where I was talking about earlier, where I need slightly longer screws to really pull it tight. But for the test run, this is going to go great, I think. I've got a good feeling about this. So next what we want to do is we want to bring that in there. And this is what I was talking about when I was saying you need to make it adjustable, so that you can adjust for belt tension. And I think we probably want that about there-ish. I'm going to use my Allen key real quick. We're going to stick that in there. And the goal of today is to just go down the road on the electric skateboard. That's the end goal of today's video, is to go down the road. Oh, that's got such good bite on it, you can hear it chunking into the metal. Cool. Right, now this is going to be loud, I apologise. Okay, what's going on here? It is very loud. I think I will replace these with grub screws, and I think they're actually hitting against this. Oh, okay, so we need to tighten some screws up there. But all in all, this looks like a working prototype. I'm going to do some more tinkering, and then I shall get back to you. Okay, so with some proper grub screws in. Oh, look at the focus on this. Isn't it awful? No, that's not bad. Okay, essentially, now that I've got some proper grub screws in there, it runs a bit quieter. So here we go. Now the problem with this drill is that it only goes one speed. It's either on or it's off. So I might have to pulse it when I'm going down the road. But let's give this mess a test. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape up this wire to the board a little bit more so that when I inevitably fall off, I won't yank the cable out and pull all this mess off. It's just a prototype. That's why everything looks so janky. There is a terminal box in there that I've wrapped a buggery with some blue tape, and I'm going to do the same to the rest of it because I don't want to destroy anything. But yeah, so far this is a success. Let's see what it's like when I get on it and ride it. Yeah, man, this is filming. I think the quality is a bit bad. I need to get a new camera. But yeah, we're going to try this. Oh, look at this. The road's lovely and clear. Give it a go. And it doesn't like going uphill, but it works. I think we need a more powerful motor. How good is that? I need to be like that way. It's weird, isn't it? Because you got to push off from the wrong side. Yeah, mate. You could put it in reverse. Okay, so that was the electric skateboard. Massive thanks to Fredders for helping us out with that, filming it and having a go on it. That was cool, man. Yeah, boy. Massive thanks to Digi for designing the pulley and some other bits and pieces like the motor mount and what have you. Essentially, the prototype does work. We need to make some adjustments, so that will be a future video. But yes, the prototype does work. I can get a better motor at some point, adjust some of this stuff, and that will be a future video. But I'm going to call this one good. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.